I want you to notice her eyes. She's in the middle, the Democratic strategist. Notice her eyes and her smile. And just, it's so cringe. It's unreal. Watch this.
I don't know. I read the notes, Elizabeth. You're just going to tell me raising or cutting taxes on the wealthy, as if corporations are a code word for the wealthy. I just don't understand that, because
I don't think that's true at all.
Aren't you saying that's all he wants to do is cut taxes for the wealthy? Why is cutting taxes on corporations for the wealthy? Why is that for the wealthy?
I think there's both. I think, one, we know that capital income represents, for the top households, represents a huge amount of their income relative to wage income at the bottom. And so when those corporations do better, or when they're given tax breaks, that flows to the top households. But I don't think that...
So that's a bad thing? Seriously, Elizabeth, that's a bad thing. Who do you think provides the jobs in this country and the people that work at those companies that pay the taxes to afford everything we do? The government can't provide jobs. Who's going to pay the government workers? The government doesn't have...
The government is, in fact, the largest employer in the United States.
Yeah, exactly. And where do you get the money to pay? Where do you get the money to pay those employees?
I think that there's this, false reality that trickle-down economics has worked for the past 50 years. And in fact,
just answer me. Where do you get the money to pay the government employees? Just answer that. That's all I want you to answer.
Revenue from both households and corporations.
It all flows down from the private sector. I'm sorry to tell you. Let me, Michael, can you explain?
How many jobs were created by the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act?
Elizabeth Pincotti, Roosevelt Forward Director, and Michael Falkender, America First Policy Institute Chief Economist, also University of Maryland professor, served as Assistant Secretary for Economic Policy under President Trump. Michael, can you really look us straight in the camera and tell us about all these tariffs, this whole Lighthizer idea? It makes sense. It gets pilloried constantly.
Smile. Look at the smugness.
So my view on tariffs is that they're an important tool for purposes of addressing some of the practices, particularly of China, of currency manipulation, intellectual property theft. I have always looked upon tariffs as a tool to get the Chinese and other nations to the table to negotiate addressing some of the inequities in our trade agreements. And I think you're correct that they would only be inflationary if the jobs don't come back to the United States, if that manufacturing doesn't get onshored or friendshored. I do anticipate that it would primarily be an incentive to move those supply chains to more resilient locations, as opposed to raising a significant amount of revenue from them.
I've got more for you. Don't go anywhere. But when you see an actual economist, when you listen to somebody who actually knows what they're talking about and how the structure of finance, the structure of the economy, how real jobs are actually made, how the economy actually grows substantively, they just smile and smug, just like Kamala. They just laugh. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, no. Governments are you are the largest employer. And I can't wait till November, because we're going to gut you guys and cut probably 85 to 90% of you. And the government's not only going to run more efficiently, more smoother, but we're going to get all that money back that was wasted. Of course, that's where the money comes. All the money, all the jobs, all the security comes. That's why free market works, free enterprise. It all comes from the private sector. You think the government creates income and revenue? This is like insane socialistic thinking. It makes no sense at all. And this is a professor, an adjunct professor. Remember, I know these people. I've worked with them. I was a part of that cult called higher education for a very, very long time. This is what they breed. This is what they spawn. This is the byproduct of their woke ideologies. But no, they just laugh it off. What are you talking about? This is ridiculous. You're disagreeing with me? But then I'm going to throw my nose up you, look down on you, call you a peasant, laugh at you, and just smile through gritted teeth, like Kamala does. Don't believe me? Check this out. This is an actual CNN panel of, I don't even know if you can call them pundits, who are actually complaining and calling it, quote, disenfranchisement, because voters aren't allowed to vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's not even running for president. You can't make this up, folks. Watch this.
The big question for the Trump campaign.
I find it ironic.
No, it does matter.
In 2020, Republicans were screaming at the top of their lungs when people were changing rules because we were in a once-in-a-lifetime global pandemic and we needed to do it to accommodate voters. And now, on the day when voters should actually be able to start to vote, it's Republicans actually preventing people to do. We are now in a system. I want to remove the politics from this and actually talk about people be able to exercise the franchise. And it is disenfranchising North Carolina voters right now that they believe they could start voting
that
today.
Look says
and
it all.
Not. And that is how confusion is disseminated in communities. That is how mis and disinformation starts. That is how you start to see
disinformation. Is that one word?
Our system is not working when you let politics play into the role of when people should be able to start voting. Follow the rules. He was on the ballot. He wanted to run. He decided he doesn't want to run.
He's not running for president, you bozo.
But disenfranchising voters right now
is
not right.
Disenfranchisement. You're a moron.
Name from the ballot?
Not if you missed the deadline.
He may not have.
Be an adult.
Because I think Democrats
Be an
want him on
adult.
the ballot because the recognition is that most of his voters.
We actually didn't want RFK.
Easy.
We actually didn't want
Indoor
RFK on
voice.
the ballot. But he fought and did what he needed to do to get on the ballot. And then he did some quid pro quo with Donald Trump to get a cabinet slot or whatever. And now he wants off the ballot. Well, tough luck, guy. If you want to almost
threw a flag.
No.
Unhinged.
Tough luck, bruh. If you
Tough
wanted
luck,
to be the leader of the free world,
Who
make
are
better
you? I don't even know who this
Don't wait
is.
till the last minute when people are actually starting to vote and then try and file an injunction 4 days before.
Who in the world are you?
Go there, everyone.
I've never seen that CNN pundit ever in my life. I don't know. Is she a pundit? I have no idea what's going on. I don't understand how anybody can take this network seriously when you have somebody like that who is essentially screaming racism. It's literally playing the race card when you say things like disenfranchise. You're talking about a guy who is an icon of the Democratic Party. His uncle was an icon of the Democratic Party. His father was an absolute icon of the Democratic family. He made probably one of the greatest political speeches in the history of political speeches when he endorsed Trump, saying, "I don't recognize my party anymore." The guy went against his own wife. The guy's risking sleeping on the couch for the rest of his life because of his values and principles, and because he cannot in good conscience stand by a party that actually supports forever wars, supports millions of people crossing the border illegally, supports an economic plan that is absolutely atrocious, supports criminals instead of law enforcement, and on and on and on. He called them warmongers. And you're going to sit there and say it's disenfranchising? Who takes this network seriously? I mean, this woman who's basically pulling the race card, who gives these people airtime? I mean, this person doesn't know what she's talking about. Oh, she's an absolute fraud. Speaking of frauds, will the real CNN stand up? This next clip I'm going to play for you it kind of threw me aback. I was shocked. Watch as CNN calls out Kamala Harris on her flip-flopping, specifically about Trump's border wall. Check this out.
Tonight, K-File investigates. In a new report, you'll see first out front. The K-File team scoured Kamala Harris's tweets and statements going all the way back to 2017. And what they found was more than 50 instances of Harris slamming Trump's border wall. But now, new Harris campaign ads actually showcase that very wall.
As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border.
And on top of critical tweets, Harris also wrote in her 2019 book, quote, "There was a bigger reason to oppose the border wall. A useless wall on the southern border would be nothing more than a symbol, a monument standing in opposition to not just everything I value, but to the fundamental values upon which this country was built. How could I vote to build what would be little more than a monument designed to send the cold, hard message,
She's a fraud.
Keep out."
She's a fraud.
Well, K-File's Andrew Kaczynski joins me now. So, Andrew, I mean, you all have gone through, scoured an incredible amount of material. Tell me more about what you found.
Yeah, that's right. We found more than 50 of those tweets criticizing the border wall before she used that in her ad. And I want people to take a look at just a few of what she said here. She called it wasteful, useless, a waste of taxpayer money, a vanity wall project, a wasteful border wall, a stupid wall, a medieval vanity project, and an unnecessary wall. And those are really just, I mean, there were more of this, just like 10 or like 50. But there was really a lot of this was the common refrain during the campaign. You read that quote where she said it was against everything that not only she stood for, everything America stood for, but and she brought this up a lot. Take a listen to just one instance of that in 2019.
It's the president's vanity project.
His multi-billion-dollar vanity project called a wall is nothing more than a distraction from the fact that he actually hasn't focused on working people in America. He contrived a national crisis around his big distraction.
All right, so you go through all of that, you've got all the tweets, and yet all of a sudden in the ads, there's pictures of the wall, and then you went through to look at that wall. Yeah. Like, what is that specific wall that's in her campaign ads now? And you found something very interesting about this specific portion of the wall.
And I think what's also really remarkable about this is, like, I mean, you heard her talking about it there, Trump's wall in his campaign during his presidency. There was really no greater symbol of Trump's presidency than the wall, in the way that Democrats were attacking him over the wall and his restrictive immigration policies. So we looked in that ad, and if you look at it, that exact area of wall is in Sasabe, Arizona, and that is a portion of wall that was actually built by Donald Trump. It was built in an area where there was not previous wall. It was actually pretty controversial when they were building it at the time. So just to see that, and then there are other.
She's using his wall that he built to say, "Look at what I did." Basically,
and the other images of the wall, we weren't able to pinpoint, but there's telltale signs that was a Trump wall, because there's an anti-climbing plate on top that became popularized during the Trump years.
It's really incredible reporting.
There you have it. The debate's coming up on Tuesday. You know we're going to go live, so make sure you subscribe. Sign up for our free newsletter. That is in the pinned comment, show notes, and description down below. What do you think of that? Who's the real CNN? What are they doing? Do they support Kamala, not support Kamala? Do they pull the race card out of disenfranchisement? Are they actually using real substantive reporting? Or are they just basically a phony mainstream media woke arm of the DNC? I don't know. You tell me. But what did you think of Joe Kiernan dismantling that Dem Strategist? Let me know in the comments down below. I can't wait to hear from you. Check out these videos coming up on the screen right here. Subscribe and follow over there. And as always, God bless you, and may God bless America. I'll see you soon.